For today's math lesson, your objective, your goal is I can solve word problems using a variety of tools. First, we're going to go over the different tools you can use to help you solve a word problem, the steps you should take in order to help you solve it, and then we're going to do 2 practice word problems together. On Class Dojo, you can find a screenshot of today's workbook page. So, for the tools, you can use blocks, such as Legos or any other small building blocks you have, crackers or snacks, goldfish, fruit snacks, Kix cereal, basically anything that you can take an amount of 1 by 1. So you can place a couple goldfish in one pile, a couple goldfish in another, and count them all together. You could draw pictures to help you. Now with the pictures, try and do something simple such as circles, triangles, hearts. If it's using frogs in the word problem, I don't want you spending a lot of time drawing little frogs to help you do it. You can just use simple drawings. Counters, such as those little plastic counters that we use in class, and you can use a number line. So, the steps you should take to help you solve the word problem. You need to first decide, is this word problem addition or subtraction? You need to figure out, is your amount going to get larger and are you adding more to it? Or are you subtracting? Your amount's getting smaller, you're taking things away. Second, you should circle important information. Important information that you should circle includes the amounts that are given in the word problem. This way you can clearly see what it is you need to add or subtract together. Third, use the tools to help you solve. Now for today, I'm going to use pictures, but I will explain how you could use the tools to help you solve it. And then fourth, circle or box your answer. When you're solving word problems, there's usually a lot of pictures, numbers, and stuff everywhere as you're trying to solve it, especially as you get older. So what I want you to do is once you figure out the answer, go ahead and circle it so you can clearly see what the answer is. So I have written 2 practice word problems here. Now this one I'm going to use the number line on, so that's why I already pre-drew it on there. But we're going to start with number 1. Ava read 3 books at school. Did you hear me mention an amount in this word problem? Should we circle that amount? Let me read it again. Ava reads 3 books at school. What should I circle? You're right, I should circle 3. And 6 at home. Did you hear another amount that I should circle? That's probably really important information. You're right, I should circle 6. How many did she read in total? I'm going to underline my question, and I know it's a question because it has a question mark. How many did she read in total? And I'm going to double underline. I kind of messed up a little bit, but double underline the word in total. So it's saying that Ava read 3 books at school and 6 at home. How many did she read in total, all together? Are we taking books away or are we adding books together to figure out the answer? You're right, we are adding. So I'm going to use a picture, but for my picture I'm going to draw little blocks. So if you have blocks, go ahead and take out a whole handful. If you're using snacks like goldfish, fruit snacks, go ahead and put a whole handful on a plate next to you. Now, what is our first amount that we have? You're right, it's 3. 1, 2, 3. Oops, I said I was going to draw cubes. Let me switch that. So if you have little Legos or little cubes you're using, 3. That's how many books she read at school. How many books did Ava read at home? You're right, she read 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, I'm going to double check that I have 3 and 6 drawn. I want to make sure that I didn't add too many. And if you're using snacks, I want you to make sure that you only have 3 and 6. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I put them in 2 groups because it's easier for me to see 3 and 6. Now, were we adding or subtracting these books together? You're right, we're adding them. So, let me just put a little plus there. You don't need to put that. And now I'm going to add and combine my amount of books at school and at home together. Now, if you're using cubes, go ahead and move them from one spot to another. Each time you grab one, go ahead and count. If you're using goldfish, fruit snacks, anything like that, use that same process. Sometimes, if we have an amount in front of us, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we don't really touch each one and count slowly, you might mess up as you count. You might forget to count one, or you might count too many. If you're doing a picture, make sure to cross them off as you count to make sure that you are counting correctly. So let's go ahead, get ready. You need to have your 3 and your 6. And now we're going to add them together. Let's start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What is our answer? You're right, it is 9. Now what do we do with our answer again? We want to make sure that we can clearly see it. We're going to circle our answer so we know that that is it. Good job. So you either use cubes, pictures, little snacks. You could have used a number line. We're going to go over the number line on the next one. And you did a great job. So let's go ahead and read the second problem. Now remember, we need to circle any important information as soon as we find it. There are 5 crackers. Did you hear an amount? That's probably pretty important to help us solve this math problem. You're right. There are how many crackers? 5 crackers. Ricky eats 4 crackers. Did you hear an amount that we should circle? You're right, we should circle 4. How many are left? So I'm going to underline our question, and then I'm going to really double underline more, oops, I was going to say more carefully this time, are left. We're trying to figure out how many crackers are left after Ricky ate some. So are we adding and making the amount bigger, or are we subtracting and taking things away to make the amount smaller? Let me read it one more time. There are 5 crackers. Ricky eats 4 crackers. How many are left? Were we adding or subtracting? You're right, we're subtracting. Ricky is taking crackers away. If you're starting with 5 crackers and you eat 4 of them, those 4 are gone. You can't get them back. So again, I'm going to go over a couple ways to solve this one. The first way I want to go over is the number line. So I drew a number line here. You always start your number line with 0. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many crackers did we start with? What was our original amount? 5. Oh, and I almost forgot, we are subtracting on this word problem. Now, Ricky eats 4 crackers. So I'm going to go backwards 4 spots. I'm going backwards because we're subtracting. The amount's going to get smaller. 1, 2, 3, 4. What is my answer? What number did I land on? 1. So I'm going to write 1 and I'm going to circle it. Now, another way you could have done this is you could have used cubes or snacks or a picture. So I'm just going to use circles for my crackers. Again, when you're drawing the pictures, I don't want you to do anything too detailed. Like, for example, if it was with butterflies, I don't want you to really waste a lot of time drawing a lot of butterflies. Just something quick to represent the amounts. So what are we starting with? How many are we starting with? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if you're drawing circles, squares, things like that, make sure, just like I tell you in class, you don't draw them too teeny tiny, itty bitty. I don't want to see that. That's going to be too hard to figure out. But I also, on your paper, I don't want to see huge, ginormous circles that are kind of stuck and merging together because that's going to be a little too confusing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I double checked. Now, how many are getting taken away or eaten? 4. So now you're going to cross off 4. If you're using blocks or little snacks, you're going to take 4 away and just put them to the side. You want to make sure that you don't have your pile of what you started with and the pile that you're taking away too close to each other because it's going to confuse you. So I'm going to use a different color to cross off my 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many circles, crackers are left? 1. Good job. So as you can see, there's a variety of tools you can use to help you solve these word problems. The most important thing is to go slow and count slow. I don't want you guys counting too fast to where you confuse yourselves, okay? Make sure if you're using a picture that you're drawing a picture nice and neat. It's easy for you to see. It doesn't have to be super beautiful or detailed. It just has to be clear to understand. Make sure if you're using snacks, you keep your piles separate and easy to see which pile is which. This way you don't get them confused. And make sure to circle any important information in the word problem, such as amounts, okay? And I miss you guys, and I hope you do great on your workbook page.